let's continue. Okay. Okay, everyone, okay? The video is still not clear. Okay, let's continue. So the Srivas Thakur's assurance is that Krishna, you will provide. I just have to be engaged in your service. Krishna, you are my maintainer. You will actually take care of me. Right? So that way, the point here that Daiva Guptam is actually saying Krishna. She's making Devotee is making the point that Krishna here, her needs of her body were actually taken care of by Krishna. Okay, text 30.
Evam sa kapiloke tena margenarchiratah param atmanam brahma nirvanam bhagavantam avapaha.
My dear Vidura, by following the principles instructed by Kapila, Devhuti soon became liberated from material bondage, and she achieved the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Super Soul without difficulty. Hare Krishna.
So basically here it says, now this is complete, like we have already completed about this Devahuti, her perfection. And now final few verses. So we read text 33, right? So here is saying, the great sage Kapila, he actually left his father's hermitage with permission of his mother and he went northeast. That's the verse we read, right? Yeah, okay. Okay, 34.
We didn't read that one from
Oh, sorry, which
30. 30.
Oh,
we
we
read 30, text 30.
Sorry. Okay, we read text 30. Okay. So text 30 is basically saying what? My dear Vidura, by following the principles instructed by Kapila, Devhuti soon became liberated from material bondage and she achieved supreme personality of Godhead without any difficulty. So text 30 starts with Evam. Evam means thus, Sa Kapila Uktena, as she was actually instructed by Kapila. Right? As she was instructed by Kapila, she just followed those instructions. Margena achirataha. She followed the path, and very soon, what did she attain? Param Atmanam. She achieved the supreme perfection, which is Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. She attained realization of all three. And then here it says, without difficulty, right? Nirvanam, cessation of material existence. Okay. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur makes a point in the purport. What was Devuti's perfection? Devuti attained Vaikunta, and a Vaikunta what? Kapila Vaikunta. So in Vaikunta, there is a planet where Kapila Dev is, and she actually attained that planet. And there she has that relationship of being the mother to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So here also we see the words Atmanam, super soul, Brahma Nirvanam, free from material pangs, Bhagwantam, realization of Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Prabhupada says how there are innumerable Vaikuntha planets, and Devoti entered Kapila Vaikuntha, enjoying company of a transcendental sun. Okay. 31.
Sorry, madam. Prabhu, so that means like her perfection would be the same as like being here.
Yeah.
Right?
So that's why Kapila said, even within this body, you'll attain perfection. So her bhav of being that mother to Kapila, we read that before, right? She said, for you, you have already attained perfection. Why? Because her only thought was about her son. So that was her eternal swarup, one way, that way. Meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead as her son. So she had already attained perfection. She was already...
She will also be having like Kardama Muni there?
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Okay. I mean, that's not exclusively mentioned, but it's mentioned that her relationship. So, yes, it's, because
So Prabhu,
it's just that Kardamani and Devoti have the Supreme Personality and Godhead as her son. You know.
so it's almost like Mathura, like Devaki Krishna and Vasudeva along with Krishna, because there is a tinge of awe and reverence, right?
Oh, and reverence, certainly.
Yeah,
Vaikuntha. This is
reverential,
Vaikuntha.
maternal in Vaikuntha.
Yeah, yeah. We can see the same, like, lines in terms of Arjun. Arjun, like in Mahabharata, we see a relationship of Sakhya with Krishna. But then whole Bhagavad Gita is spoken. Bhagavad Gita, what does similar, like how Devoti said, "Oh, I am so much in ignorance. Please dispel my ignorance." Arjun, similar, he starts the whole thing. So he is also one way playing the role of a person in ignorance. And then what is his final Sarup? Is anyway Sakya with Krishna. Right? So that's the eternal. So that way the eternal Sarup. So, okay, 31.
I think some other devotees wanted to say something.
Anyone else? Any comments?
Yeah, Prabhu, I had the same question. So it sounds like Devahuti is Nitya Siddha, not Sadhan Siddha. Like, she's already situated in that position of being the mother of Kapila Dev.
Yeah. Yeah, that's her eternal Sarup. So one way, like the whole thing where she acts as if she's in ignorance and the whole thing is one way. Uh, yeah, just like Arjun, how he actually plays the role of a person in ignorance. So similar to that. I mean, like one way, if you see, like a Nitya Siddha, when he comes down, he may go through the process of sadhana Siddha, the process of sadhana. No, sadhana, why? To show us an example. Like, I mean, even the Goswamis, we can consider the same thing, right? Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, like, they are all Rupa Manjari, Lavanga Manjari, right? They're all eternal, Manjaris. But when they come here, then we see that how they were serving the Muslim king. If they are already Manjaris, why are they serving Muslim king? And why they come and they express their mood of humility and surrender to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then how Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructs them, I mean, Jiva Goswami, also Manjari, and he actually went to study Shastras, right? So they actually are doing this sadhana. Why? To show us how we can attain perfection. So one way, the last section, what we are reading about Devahuti, how she attained perfection by following the instructions of Kapila Dev, is she is showing us how, if you follow the instructions, you will attain perfection. Right? So see, for us to get faith in a particular process, we need to see examples. And these personalities actually, through their own sadhana, one way, show us how they have attained perfection. And if we follow the same thing, then we can attain perfection. Is that okay?
Okay, thank you.
Text 31. Tad virasit punyatamam kshetram trailokya vishrutam namna siddha padam yatra sasam siddhim upeyushi.
Hare Krishna. The place where Devahuti achieved her perfection, my dear Vidura, is understood to be a most sacred spot. It is known all over the three worlds as Siddhapada.
So the place where she actually attained this perfection, that place has become famous and is known as Siddha Pada. And we'll read further about this place in the next verse. Let's continue. 22.
Text 32. Tasyastadyoga vidhuta martyam abhutsarit shrotasam pravara somya siddhida siddha sevita.
Hare Krishna. Dear Vidura, the material elements of her body have melted into water and are now a flowing river, which is the most sacred of all rivers. Anyone who bathes in that river also attains perfection, and therefore all persons who desire perfection go bathe there. Hare Krishna.
So you remember earlier we read about this place where Karna Muni was performing austerities, how it is such a special place, spiritual place, and we read all those details. So that same place where Devahuti performed austerities, it said that, oh gentle Vidura, yoga vidhuta martyam. See, whenever we read of any perfection, a person attain perfection, there is a process where their material elements actually merge back into the material elements of the one way, the universe, like earth, water, fire, air, ether. Where did we read this example before of a person living whose body actually merged in the elements of the universe? Dhritarashtra was mentioned, and then also Pandavas also, when they left, it was mentioned how their bodies actually entered, one way, merged into the material elements. right? So here it is mentioned that her body, by this yoga practice, she gave up all material elements, and in Martyam Abhut Sharit, her mortal body became a river. Right? So it became a river, and then Shrotasam Pravaha. So it became the foremost of all rivers, and anyone who desires Siddhi, perfection, they go and take bath in that river. Okay. Next 33.
Prabhu, do you know the name of the river?
So they were actually on the banks of Saraswati, right? So
Saraswati.
I mean,
But she becomes Saraswati?
no,
She
no.
No.
merged. That's
Actually, it is mentioned in one of these verses. Where did I read it? It comes somewhere further.
maybe we'll read, Prabhu. Maybe you
Yeah,
can.
it comes actually.
Okay.
Yeah, it comes somewhere further. I read it. Okay, it'll come. So at the end of these verses, I will come to that point. Okay. Next, we are in 30.
33.
Yeah.
Kapilopi Mahayogi Bhagavan Pitur Ashramat Mataram Samanuj Gyapya Prag Udichim Disham Yayo.
Hare Krishna. My dear Vidur, the great sage Kapil, the personality of Godhead, left his father's hermitage with the permission of his mother and went towards the northeast.
Okay. So basically, Kapiladev has left and he actually went towards the northeast. Okay. I mean, nothing much to explain this. Further, 33,
Text 34.
34.
Siddhacharana Gandharvar Munibhischapsaroganai Struyamana Samudrena Datarhana Niketanaha.
While he was passing in the northern direction, all the celestial denizens known as Charanas and Gandharvas, as well as the Munis and the damsels of the heavenly planets, prayed and offered him all respects. The ocean offered him oblations and a place of residence. Hare Krishna.
So Prabhupada actually explains that how Kapila Dev left, and he actually says, first went towards the Himalayas and traced the course of the river Ganges. So you can see, like he's going up the Himalayas, and then from the Ganges, how it flows, he walked along the Ganges, and then he came to a delta of the Ganges, which is near the Bay of Bengal, and there he actually took his residence, and that place is known as Ganga Sagara, where the Ganga meets the Bay of Bengal, that place. And then here it is said that is known as Ganga Sagar Tirtha, and even today people go there, they go to offer respects to Kapila Dev, to actually worship Kapila Dev as the original propounder of the Sankhya philosophy. Anyone has been to this place? Ganga Sagar Tirtha? Okay.
Prabhu, is there any temple of Kapil Deva or something?
I think Divya Nitya Limita is nodding her head. Well, she probably has gone there. It's from that area.
It's in a delta place, Prabhu. There is always floods and
Mm.
hurricanes and like cyclones come there. So now now ISKCON has a big project coming up there. It's government by the government is helping. It's a big project. I'll share that photo. It's like 3-storied temple.
Wow.
It's a big temple coming up. But it's a deity of Kapila Muni also there.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
In the original temple is there, Prabhu. Like it's an old, very old temple. And the Ganga Sagar Mela happens every year at 14th of the Makar Sankranti time, the same time of Kumbha, the same time as Makar Sankranti in there, and it's a huge. But the temple is, it's almost ready. Maybe within 2 years it'll open.
Okay, wonderful.
Residence, prasadam, everything.
Very nice. So Vasudev Prabhu can now take us to that place.
Yeah, and we get mercy. The unity Mataji mentioned about prasadam, right? Yesterday we mentioned about prasad mercy.
Okay, let's continue. 35.
Text 35. Aste yogam samasthaya sankhyacharyar abhishtutaha trayanam apilokanam Upashantyai samahitaha.
333-35. Even now, Kapila Muni is staying there in trance for the deliverance of the conditioned souls in the three worlds. And all the acharyas, or great teachers of the system of Sankhya philosophy, are worshipping him. Hare Krishna.
So Kapil Dev is still there. So maybe when we go, we can actually, if we are fortunate, take darshan of Kapila Dev, right? Offer our prayers to him. Okay, 36.
Etan nigatitam tata yat prishtoham tavanaga kapilasya cha samvado devahutyascha pavanaha.
Hare Krishna. 36. O sinless one, the descriptions of Kapil Dev and his mother and their activities are the purest of all pure discourses.
I mean, any pastime or lila, when we come to the end, what is the main theme? The falshruti, the benefit of reading this pastime, the glorification of this pastime. So it says samvada pavana. This is the purest of all conversations. Okay, 37.
Ya idam anushinoti yo atmayoga guyam bhagavati kritadhi suparnaketav upalabhate bhagavat padhara vindam.
Hare Krishna. The description of the dealings of Kapila Deva and his mother is very confidential, and anyone who hears or reads this narration becomes a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is carried by Garuda, and he thereafter enters into the abode of the Supreme Lord to engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Jai.
The last verse of third canto, right? What does it say? The description of the dealings, this Kapila Dev and Devhuti, these chapters that we read are basically, it says, is Guyam, very confidential, right? Very confidential. And further it says, Ya who are Anushrunoti, who hears, Abhidate, or explains it, then Atma Yoga, based on meditation, these topics which are based on meditation on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavati Krita Dhiha, and having fixed his mind on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he becomes a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then here it says Suparna Ketu, which Lord are we talking? The Lord who has Garuda on his flag, right? And then this person achieves the lotus feet of Supreme Lord and enters the abode of the Supreme Lord to engage in transcendental devotional service. Right? So, Vishal, yeah, one minute, I'll make a point.
Yeah, in text 36, someone said I described means who? Vidura and Maitre Muni?
Yeah. This is a conversation with Vidura and Maitreya, right? So basically, here we are reading that Maitreya is saying, "My dear son, since you have inquired from me, whatever you have inquired, I have given you answer." So this is Vidura Maitreya. So two cantos, third canto, fourth canto is a conversation between Vidura and Maitreya. Right? Okay. And then here, so Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur actually says, imagine just by hearing, one becomes a devotee and one goes back to God. Just by explaining it, one becomes a devotee, attains perfection. What to talk of following the instructions of Kapila Dev? How much more benefit one can get, right? So in that way, he's actually making this point. One can, devotee attains the position of what? She becomes a Lord associate. She's filled with prema and serving the lotus feet of the Lord. So we can attain that perfection just by hearing, by speaking, and by following the instructions of Kapila Dev. Okay, so that is canto number 3. 33 chapters of the third canto, and this is the last shloka. Right? So actually, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he concludes this by saying, being ignorant, I do not know the meaning of Srimad Bhagavatam, but I have made a commentary according to my intelligence because of a desire for its association. Such a nice point. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, I'm not qualified to explain Bhagavatam, but because I desire to associate with Bhagavatam, hence I have written something. Right? And we can say the same thing. We are not qualified to speak or hear Bhagavatam. But because we want to associate, we know Bhagavatam is Krishna, Bhagavatam is so glorious, we are actually making this attempt. And then further he says, offering respect to all living beings up to Brahma in the universe, I ask for their mercy. Having been made capable of understanding it, I have completed the commentary on the third canto on the bank of the Yamuna river. So where is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writing? Bank of the Yamuna river, right? At the foot of a desire tree. He's sitting under a kalpa vriksha. He's writing the commentary of third canto, right? In Sri Vrindavan on the 8th lunar day of Ashwina month. And that's how Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says. On this day, here sitting in Vrindavan on the banks of the Yamuna under a kalpa vriksha tree, I have written this commentary of the third canto. Though I'm not qualified, but because I have a desire to connect with Bhagavatam, to take Bhagavatam's association, I have actually made this attempt. And he's saying, all living entities from Brahma, all over, everyone, I ask for their mercy. Please shower your mercy. Right? And by their mercy, having been made capable of understanding it, I have completed the commentary. Okay? Okay, so that is canto number 3. So, imagine like we join every Sunday, we are hearing Bhagavatam. What is the benefit we are getting? We don't even realize what benefit we are getting. Like here it says, anyone who hears this, this entire conversation. So we have heard every week we are hearing the shlokas from Bhagavatam. We are reading the explanation given by Srila Prabhupada. Just by hearing what is happening, our devotion to Lord Shri Krishna is actually growing in our heart. Right? And that's why that shloka says what? First canto, 7th chapter. Yasyam vai shruyamananam Krishne param purushe bhakti utpatate pumsam. Right? So bhakti arises in our heart by yasyam shruyamananam. Shruyamananam. By giving oral reception to the Bhagavatam, bhakti is actually awakening in our heart. Right? And shoka moha bhayapaha. That is secondary result. Shoka, moha, and bhaya is actually washed away. And devotion to Krishna is established in our heart. Right? That is the power of Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. That is third canto. So thank you all so much for joining from this journey of canto number 3. Such a wonderful canto. And, it's like when you study the entire section of third canto, then you develop so much appreciation and you feel like, wow, such an important canto, such a nice canto. Right? So I hope we have all developed some level of appreciation for the different pastimes and the theme of the third canto that we discussed last week. Okay, so let's see, we'll take some reflections from any other points that we discussed today, or in general reflection on third canto, and then we'll do an overview of fourth canto, and we'll start canto number 4. Okay, so everyone please share any thoughts.
Prabhuji, one question on the last point that you mentioned. Shoka, moha, those 3 things will go away. What about the anarthas, like enviousness, all those things?
Yeah, see, awakening bhakti in our heart means anarthas are going away. I mean, how will bhakti arise in our heart which is filled of anarthas? So, see, we discussed what is the theme of third canto. If you are really giving Shruya Manana, we are hearing third canto. By the end of third canto, what anartha is destroyed? The anartha to enjoy material nature. Right? We discussed this last time. So, our anarthas are getting destroyed. But how will anarthas get destroyed? By the strength of devotional service. Right? Yesterday we read one line in Prabhupada's purport where he actually says, to completely control the senses, the only way is by the strength of devotional service. Right? So to actually take away the anarthas in our heart, how is that possible? Only by the strength of bhakti. And when Bhagavatam, the bhakti is awakening, then anarthas will go away. But again, we need to be, like through the third canto, we are becoming aware of what anarthas we need to focus. So yes, bhakti, as we are engaging in devotional service, in chanting the holy name, in hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, studying Srimad Bhagavatam, that anartha is actually coming to the forefront, and Krishna is showing, this is your anartha. And then we pray to Krishna, and when we engage in bhakti, we pray, Krishna, this anartha, I cannot get rid of. Only you, please give me devotion, so that's anartha is actually. So one way, it makes us conscious of our anarthas, and then an opportunity for us to pray to Krishna and pray to Krishna that he takes away those anarthas. Okay.
Thank you so much for it.
Any other comments?
I like the point where you said that Devahuti was so much absorbed in Krishna, and she was not even concerned with her own body maintenance, and Krishna was taking care of that, and how the devotees are completely who are completely dedicated in service. Krishna maintains everything for them. And I had kind of a follow-up question on that, is that to what extent, like, because we still have to maintain our body, like, to what extent do we depend on Krishna, and then also do our duties of maintaining our physical needs and like that?
So you see, the point is, see, for the Goswamis, the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, they were already perfected living entities. Now we are in the stage, the journey where we want to come to perfection. So at this stage, if we actually, let's say we are doing a lot of seva, but if we are neglecting our body, then right now, because we are not completely separate from our body, we still have that. To the extent we connect with the body, we associate with the body, we one way have to take care of the needs, but by depending on Krishna. So as we progress in our bhakti, then our dependence on Krishna gets more and more stronger, more and more deeper. And then at that point, it is Krishna is actually taking it. I mean, Krishna is taking care of, but we have to, uh, because we are still connected with the body, to that extent, we have to take care of the body. So we cannot artificially jump to the stage and say like, okay, I'm not going to take prasadam. We'll see how Krishna maintains our body. No, we are not at that stage. When we come to a stage, when we are completely, as devotee is at the stage, completely detached from our body, she has no longer feeling of the modes of material nature. When we come to this stage, then, like the Goswamis, how Prabhupada, in the last days, he actually said this. As we progress in bhakti, these four have to reduce. Eating, sleeping, mating, defending. Right? And he said, mating is not there. Defending is not there. Now, my eating is also not there. This is final in Vrindavan, he's saying. I'm hardly eating anything. Right? And also, I'm hardly sleeping. I have no longer any needs of the body. Prabhupada said this in the Vrindavan when he was on the bed. All these four needs of the body is now gone. Right? So as we progress in bhakti to that extent, we can see how Krishna is actually mating, but we cannot artificially jump. So when we are, let's say we have Janmashtami, whole day we are seva, we are fasting, and maybe at that moment we forget the needs of the body. We're just so absorbed in seva. But later on, next few days, maybe we have to take more rest. We have to recuperate because we are still in the bodily consciousness. We are connected to the body. So maybe next few days we are actually, taking more rest, eating properly, gradually building up our energy of the body. So we have to do all this. So that way we have to take care. Right? Is that okay?
Thank you.
Yeah, so that's why it says Sharir Madhyam Khalu Dharma Sadhanam.
So can you explain that?
Yeah, we have to we have to do like devotional service, and we have to do whatever our prescribed duty, but we have to take care of the body also. So it is healthy body, then we can perform our duty very well. If we like sick, so our mind is not, we are not able to do services.
Yeah,
That's the meaning.
that's a good point that, this is a sign of our advancement. Yes. As our body, like we feel sick, and if that's a hindrance to our sadhana, then we know we are still in that, material consciousness. But irrespective of our bodily situation, if our sadhana is just going deeper, that shows our advancement. That is one point. And then for us at this stage, what should we consider? Krishna, this is your body. Hence, it's my duty to take care of your instrument of seva. Just like if if a company gives you a particular instrument to be used for for their benefit, like a laptop is given by the company. Now it is our duty to take care of the laptop for the company. The owner is a company, but to serve the company, I need that instrument. So similarly, a body, we need the body to offer service to Krishna. Hence, we have to take care of our body needs.
So, Prabhu, I have a question for Rajanadika. Mataji, does Prabhu really takes care after for his body after Janmashtami?
Yeah, I do. I do. I mean, it is, next question.
Okay,
I mean,
Prabhu, my
we all have to
because
balance and everything, I mean, the balance has to be there. So, right. So, okay.
Uh, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, it's
Yes, sir.
giving lot of hope when it's almost like assurance. If you do service to the Lord will take care of you. It's kind of like a gives us hope, even though we suffer because of bodily problems, but there is assurance that God, Krishna will take care.
I mean, that's one of the limbs of bhakti, right? Like Krishna is a protector, Krishna is our maintainer. So as we grow in this faith that yes, Krishna will take care, Krishna will take care, to that extent we are actually, so at that stage, we are taking need of a body, but we are saying, okay, if we have some bodily problem, we take the medicine, we take whatever treatment is required, but our faith is only if Krishna wants, I'll get cured. Our faith is not so much in the medicine, our faith is in Krishna. Because you may take a medicine and it may work, it may not work. But who decides this? Krishna. Right? So our faith is always in Krishna. Right? But we do the needful. But our faith we put in Krishna. Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. The last verse, Falshruti of chapter 32, Krishna is so merciful. He's saying that Sakrit, even once, if we meditate upon him with faith and affection and hears and chants about him, certainly we will go back home, back to Godhead. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for engaging us in hearing about Krishna. Krishna.
Okay. That's a nice point you brought up. So the previous chapter, the last Falshruti was Kapila Dev's Falshruti. Is that right? Yes. Kapil Dev is giving the Falshruti. And in this chapter, who's giving the Falshruti? In the Vidura and Maitreya. Maitreya is saying, okay, now I have described this whole thing. This is the Falshruti. Right? So double benefit. Conversation inside conversation. So each speaker is saying, you read this, you get Falshruti. The outside next conversation, the speaker is saying, you get Falshruti. Okay. Any
Hare
other
Krishna
point?
Prabhuji.
Yes.
So I like the mood of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Because I want to take the association, I think that's a nice mood that I should be getting. We're not qualified, but just because we want to take the association, we want.
Yes, that's a nice point because one way say like, what is the qualification to study Bhagavata? Parma Nirmatsaranam Sata. How many of us are Nirmatsaranam Sata? Maybe there are some pure devotees on this call, but at least I know I am not Nirmatsaranam Sata. But because of this point, because we want that association of Srila Prabhupada through his purpose, we want the association of Srimad Bhagavatam. Because of that, we are actually studying Bhagavatam. Right? And as we, as we study, okay, this time we have done. Maybe again we'll come and do, and more times we actually study Bhagavatam more and more. We get deeper. We get a deeper association with Srimad Bhagavatam. Thank you. Thank you. Nice point.
Prabhuji, even the point like the spiritual master knows he's not the body, but he's give us the opportunity to serve him so that we will get that benefit.
Yes. That's a very nice point. You should always remember this point. Otherwise, people may see and say like, oh, why this, he's so advanced. Why is he taking service? It's not for the guru. He's doing it. He's taking service for the benefit of the disciple.
Thank you so much.
But Prabhuji, doesn't that also mean that Krishna is indirectly providing for the Guru through his disciples? I mean, because somehow
Yeah,
Krishna has to
that's also good.
provide, right? And so it is also a way that we identify that, or
Yeah.
showing that Krishna is indirectly or directly providing for
Yes.
the maintenance of the devotee.
Yes. That's a very good point. That through the disciples, but the guru never thinks that I'm dependent on
Right.
my disciples for that. He's like Krishna is take care. How that comes? That through different instruments. And because when the disciples are serving the guru, both the purposes are served. The guru's maintenance and also the disciples' mood of seva and his progress in bhakti. Both of them are served, so it becomes perfect that way.
And I'm also thinking that Krishna directly shows that he is giving us stuff by, like, even if we have a job, right? It is the way of Krishna is maintaining us, because indirectly he has given us the job, and we have to directly like thank him.
Yeah.
Like, how did we get it? How did we get that job? It's because Krishna wants to maintain us through,
Right.
so it's like, yeah, that it just makes that point more
So
stronger.
if we see all this as instruments of Krishna, then we'll become grateful to Krishna that, oh Krishna, you are providing through so and so. Right? So everything we are saying, like, oh, this happened. Oh Krishna, you actually provided this. So this can happen. So that's a nice point. Thank you. Thank you for all the points. So are we ready for overview of Canto 4? Right? So now in Canto 3, the main anartha was this point of enjoying. Right? Enjoyment.
Prabhu,
Yeah.
oh, hold on. Prabhu, the Subodhini is, you're getting it?
Oh, you don't have fourth canto Subodhini?
I think we have only third canto, no?
Yes, we don't have fourth canto. I don't have.
Oh, okay. Let me check. Oh, I forgot that you don't have the fourth canto. Okay, I will see how soon we can arrange. I have few copies for sure, but very soon I'll arrange and get those copies for all of you. So maybe I'll just post a poll on the chat, and you can just say if you need a fourth canto, you don't have it, just select. So I'll know how many copies to order, and then we'll get that. Okay.
I have Prabhuji.
Okay. Anyway, just answer the poll so we'll know
Okay.
how many people need it. Okay. Okay. So let's start canto number 4. Now, if you see in canto number 3, right, one thing that we discussed was the difference between the mood of Devahuti and Diti. Both of them wanted to enjoy, right? But how did Devahuti actually do? Through sacrifice. And then she enjoyed a lot. Right? For 100 years, she was enjoying with Kardamani. Now, one way that actually may inspire the person that yes, I should live a Vedic way of life, right? Like we all have the desire to enjoy, but now it is, oh, well, that is a system for enjoyment, and let me enjoy the Vedic way. Now, fourth canto actually points out Vedic way means through sacrifices. So basically, is doing like living a life with sacrifices in the Vedic way, is that the perfection of everything? Everyone is following my flow of thought here. See, right? Everyone is following. So Devoti, she enjoyed, but she did it through sacrifice, right? So is that Vedic way of life the highest perfection? Is that the way that we need to? Is Bhagavatam telling us that that is the way to do it? Now, in the fourth canto, we see again and again the problems with Vedic sacrifice. If we are living a Vedic way of life, but if we are not understanding, if it is not in the background of bhakti, then there are problems with it. Okay? What is the problem? Anyone can think about stories from the fourth canto where we see a problem with a Vedic way of life. We'll start off with that. Towards the end of the canto, we read the story of Prachini Bari. What is he doing? He wants to enjoy, but he's doing it the Vedic way, right? But what was the what happened in the story, and we'll come to that later towards the end of Canto. Narad Muni comes and says, "What are you doing? You know, your sons they are already performing meditation. Their Lord Shiva has blessed them. But what are you doing?" And then he speaks that entire story of Puranjana. And in Puranjana's story, also we see that Puranjana is living a Vedic life, but at a particular point, how he actually goes to the forest, he hunts, and he starts enjoying his senses. So yes, Vedic way of life is important, but it has to be with the background of bhakti. If bhakti is not there, then even your sacrifices is a big problem. Right. Another example in the starting of the fourth canto is the story of Daksha. Right. Daksha is performing so elaborate sacrifice. Right. But what happens? One devotee says how we talk of supreme personality of Godhead, right? And Daksha became what? Personality of goat head. You got a goat head, right? So personality of goat head. So Daksha, he was Prajapati. He was doing elaborate sacrifice. All the demigods were actually coming to be a part of his sacrifice. Imagine his level of sacrifice. But what was the problem? The problem was he actually offended Lord Shiva. Right? So, yes, he was focusing on sacrifice, but he missed out the path of bhakti. And hence he could not see the bhakti in Lord Shiva. So he saw Lord Shiva externally. Oh, my son-in-law. He saw Lord Shiva. Oh, he's covered with all these ashes. What kind of person? He saw Lord Shiva. He's my son-in-law, but he doesn't even have a house. How is he taking care of my daughter? And he saw Lord Shiva externally. So because you are doing Vedic sacrifice without that aspect of bhakti, problem. Right? Then further also we see problem in Vedic sacrifices through the story of, which else story we see? 99, 100,
Prithu Maharaj.
Prithu Maharaj,
Indra coming
right? So
size.
he wanted to do 100 Vedic sacrifices, right? And then when he came to 99, then Indra, he was like, oh, someone is going to take over my job, right? My job is in now danger. So Indra comes, and what does Indra do? Indra actually he uh, dresses himself in like a sannyasi, like a pretentious religion, and he starts promoting this false religion, and then in that way he comes and he steals the horse, so that the 100th one is not done, so that he is not taking over a job. And then what does Brahma actually come and tell Prithu Maharaj? Be satisfied with 99. Vedic sacrifice is not the whole point. Bhakti is the whole point. And Prithu Maharaj, did he agree? He said yes. 99. You wanted 99, 99. One way, if you have come 99, someone wants to do 100, you have come all the way to 99. Wouldn't you say, I'm so close, just one more, let me do it? The Brahma says, no, no, that's not the point. The point is bhakti. The point is bhakti. Right? So that is one of the main themes of fourth canto, right? Vedic way of life, but bhakti always has to be the background. Next point, next theme we see in the fourth canto is offenses. When we are engaged in bhakti, we have to be always aware of offenses. What are the offenses we see in fourth canto? I already mentioned one story, Daksha.
Pride.
Daksha. Out of pride and anger, he offends Lord Shiva. So yes, if someone takes to the path of bhakti, you have to be careful of these offenses. Careful of pride, careful of envy. Daksha, because he was proud, he became angry and he offended a pure devotee, Lord Shiva. And hence he became personality of Godhead. Right? And it's interesting how fourth canto starts with the story of Daksha becoming a goat, getting a goat head, and it ends with what? Daksha. Again ends with Daksha's story. Because later on, when we come to the story of Prachimari and Prachetas, who is the son of Prachetas? Again Daksha. But Daksha, even afterwards, he commits offenses to Narad Muni. You know the story a little bit, everyone? At least some idea of all the stories I'm saying? Oh, again, the video froze.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Sorry, the video froze on my end. I cannot. You can still hear me, okay?
Yes,
Okay.
we can help you.
Yeah.
The video is also good too.
Okay, so maybe something on my side. So everyone is following, like, at least some overview of these stories, what I'm saying? Yes or no?
Yes,
Prabhuji.
dear.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So we
Yes.
start with Daksha making an offense. We end fourth canto with Daksha again making an offense. Right? But that is different kind of offense to Narad. Narad comes and takes his children. He says, "Join ISKCON Brahmachari Ashram." And he says, like, why? I just created them. And then again. Right? So starting, ending, what is the point? Offense. Right? So fourth canto is one way talking first point of Vedic sacrifices. How Vedic sacrifices, also Vedic way of life always has to be with the background of bhakti. Second point is about offenses. Daksha commits offense. Second, who else commits the offense? Suruchi, right? She speaks harsh words to Dhruva. She makes an offense. Then Vena, right? We come later, right? He was like a king, a sinful king, making all offenses to Brahmanas. And what happened to him? And just by Brahmanas, they chanted mantra, killed him. Right? Vena. Then Indra. Indra, what offense did he do? What was his mood? Again, the point was he was envious of Prithu Maharaj. And hence, when Prithu Maharaj was reaching 100, he said, no, no, my job position. I'm more concerned about my job. Indra makes an offense. Then later on, yeah. And then also one way we can say also Sati, one way, more than offense, we can say that she disobeyed Lord Shiva. And this is will come in next few chapters where we see like Lord Shiva told her, Sati, don't go. Don't go. And what was Sati's mood there? She was attached to that sacrifice. She said, my father is doing this sacrifice and I see airplanes are going. And my sister is going, this person is going. They are all dressed so nicely. I want to go. And this is my house. My father, my sisters are going to be there. Big sacrifice. I want to go there. And she disobeyed Lord Shiva. And we see the result. So all these, we see so many anarthas like pride, anger, harsh speech, envy, attachment, disobedience. All this we see in fourth canto. And if you are really going through the cantos, by the end of fourth canto, we want to understand the real importance of the Vedic way of life. What is the most important aspect of Vedic way of life? Is actually bhakti. And then the other point is all these anarthas: pride, anger, harsh speech, envy, attachment, disobedience. All this we get free of these anarthas. And at the same time, what are the positive qualities we'll develop? What are the positive stories in the fourth canto?
Dhruva attaining.
Dhruva, right? So what do we learn from Dhruva? Determination. What do we learn from Lord Shiva in that Daksha Shiva episode? When everyone, there was cursing, counter cursing going on. What was Lord Shiva? What did he do? Did he get involved and say, like, okay, now I will curse? Stood up, walked away. Tolerance. We develop quality of determination from Dhruva. We develop the quality of tolerance from Lord Shiva. Then we develop the quality of forgiveness from Prithu Maharaj. And we see this in the Prithu Maharaj episode. How he, forgives Lord Shiva. Oh, forgives Indra. Forgives Indra. Right? So, forgiveness. Then later we see the how to develop detachment from the story of Anga. Right? And from the Prachetas, we learn the quality of cooperation. So fourth canto is a lot focusing on these are the anarthas, this is the good quality. So if we are really reading the fourth canto, we are getting rid of these anarthas and we are developing all these good qualities. You know? So this is the power of fourth canto. And not only that, so all this, developing all these good qualities, but finally we come, and this is fourth canto, we see the prayers of Dhruv Maharaj, prayers of Prithu Maharaj, we see the prayers of the Prachetas, like a Rudra Gita. And what is the one common point in all these prayers? That the foremost aspiration for a devotee is what? What is the foremost aspiration of a devotee?
Developing bhakti, Prabhuji.
Okay, further, more specific.
Krishna Prem.
Okay,
No,
so you're telling about these goals. How will you develop this?
Unflinching faith, Prabhuji.
Okay,
service, Prabhu.
Service.
Service to Krishna.
Association with the pure devotees.
Service.
okay, service, devotional service. Okay, the point that we hear, the foremost aspiration of a devotee is to hear Krishna Katha in the association of devotees. We'll read one prayer in Dhruva Maharaj, very beautiful prayer, where he's actually seeing Krishna face to face, but what is he asking? Imagine, Krishna has appeared face to face in front of him. And what is he asking? Oh Krishna, my only prayer is I want to be always in the association of devotees and hear Krishna Katha. Prithu Maharaj, the beautiful prayer where he actually says that when devotees speak, what does the words of that what do the words that devotees speak have? They have the saffron dust particles from the lotus feet of Krishna. Right? And hence, the aspiration of a devotee is I want to always be in association of devotees and hear Krishna Katha. Because all the other things you talked of, Krishna Prema, you said, other goals, all that can be achieved through this one aspiration. And hence, we see the foremost aspiration in the fourth canto is this desire to always be association of devotees and hear Kirtanam, hear the glories of Lord Krishna. Okay, so it's okay. Fourth canto. You got the main idea of the fourth canto. What anarthas are we addressing? What qualities are we developing? And how the third canto is growing onto the fourth canto about Vedic way of life, and what we have to be careful while living that Vedic way of life.
Prabhuji, which quality Prachetas represent? The good quality?
Cooperation.
Cooperation.
Right? Lord Shiva says, why I appear to you? Because you are all cooperated. So whenever, often in ISKCON all around the world, we use prachetas as an example to show the mood of cooperation in service.
Even they had the same wife, right, bro? All Prachetas.
Yes.
One wife.
Yeah. Actually, even with the prachetas, see, there's another, maybe one more level I can speak of. Dhruva attained perfection. And later on, Lord Krishna said, okay, rule for 36,000. And then we read the story of how he makes an offense to the yakshas. So, one way one may say, like, he's seeing Krishna face to face and yet he makes an offense. So the point is that tendency to make offenses is actually a very deep rooted tendency. One can attain a high state, yet make an offense and then immediately have fallen. Now you mentioned about prachetas. Prachetas, when they come out of that meditation, then what happens immediately? They see how the forest is covered everywhere, right? And then what happens? They become angry. And out of that anger, they create a fire and start burning the forest. So imagine, they just performed a 10,000-year austerity and coming out immediately anger. So one way, if you go on the next level, it actually shows how these offense tendency to make offenses or this anarthas are so deep rooted that one always has to be cautious while engaging in bhakti. And then the personality of the forest actually came and he said like, oh, please, Prachita, stop burning. I will give you my daughter. You get married to my daughter. And then the Prachitas get married to a daughter of the forest personified. So,
Prabhuji, like, is a sati, is it a disobedience, or does she wanted to teach a learn to Daksha Prabhu?
well, it is actually disobedience of Lord Shiva initially, right? It was a disobedience. Like Lord Shiva clearly said, we'll come to the, I think, fourth chapter of fourth canto. Lord Shiva says clearly, if you go, it will be a cause of destruction. But she said, no, no, I want to go. I'm attached to this. So that mood of attachment was so strong, and hence, because of the attachment, she disobeyed her own husband, Lord Shiva himself. Though she knew the glories of Lord Shiva, she knew the glories of her husband, but yet she disobeyed the husband. And then we see when she comes, then she actually burns up her own body. And then that continues the story, and then finally her personality of Godhead.
Thank you.
So, Prabhuji, the stage of anartha nivritti is so deep rooted that it can be overcome only in the association.
Exactly. Exactly.
If we stay in like a lifelong process, right? Anartha nivritti.
Yes. Yes. So that's a good point, that why these devotees, even after attaining perfection, they are saying, I want to, my foremost aspiration is to be in association of devotees, and here, Shravanam Kirtan. That's my perfection. Why? Because the same point. Right. And later on in fifth canto, we'll see how Bharat Maharaj attained Bhav, and yet he actually falls down. Right. So how like these chapters are showing, these cantos are showing us how bhakti, one way we say bhakti is easy, right? Easy compared to the other process, but how bhakti is actually a fine line. You have to be so cautious if you really want to progress in bhakti, careful of all these bad qualities, careful of offenses, always be in association of devotees. That fine line, that is devotional service.
Prabhupada, I think I remember reading it's a double-edged sword, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Yeah.
Double-edged sword. Right? If you're not careful, then immediately right, you can get cut. Okay. So everyone okay with overview of fourth canto? So just to list the chapters, chapter 1 is actually just the lineage. What are we reading in third canto? Swayambhuva Manu Shatarupa. Who are the children? 5 children. Right? Who did we already read about? Devahuti. Right? Now who are the other 2 daughters? Akuti, Prasuti. Who are the other 2 sons? Uttanapad, Priyavrata. 5. That's what we are reading. Right? So we read Devahuti, and that was the whole Kardamuni, Devahuti, Kapila. We read about this. Next, we have to read further about Akuti and Prasuti, right? And then we'll read about Dhruv Maharaj, that is Uttanapad. And then fifth canto, we'll talk about Priyavrata. Right? So all these cantos are just talking of the lineage. So we'll read more about this lineage, how from these 5 children, how the lineage continues. So first chapter, all lineage. And then also some other points, but mainly lineage. But then from chapter 2 to 7, so 6 chapters is focused on this lila of Lord Shiva, Sati, and Daksha. Right? So 6 chapters, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 6 chapters on that Leela. So one way, if you see second canto and third canto, not so many story. I mean, there are stories, but not like such elaborate Leelas. But here, lots of stories. right? So 6 chapters of Shiva, Daksha, and Sati. Then chapter number 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 5 chapters, story of what? Dhruva and Uttanapad, right? I mean, that entire Suruchi, Suniti, that's 5 chapters. Then after that, chapter 13, 14 talks of Anga and Vena, and from that comes Prithu Maharaj. Then Prithu Maharaj's story is from 15th chapter all the way to 23rd chapter. Anyone is writing this down? If someone is writing, you can post on the...
I missed that. What
Yes,
is
I
13,
know.
14?
13, 14 is Anga and Vena. Then from Vena, the next actually personality who's born is Prithu Maharaj. So 15 to 23 is all about Prithu Maharaj's story. Right? So again, 8 chapters on Prithu Maharaj. And then after that comes the story of the Prachetas, Prachinibari and Puranjana. That is 25 all the way to 31. The Puranjana story is very long. And that's all Narad Muni's conversation to Prachinibari. So that is like, we end with the story of Prachetas and then finally how Daksha, he appears again. So that is the entire 4th canto. Okay, everyone ready? Okay, now
So the Daksha story is about, is it about Prasuti?
Yes.
Or Akuti?
Yes. Some of the video is again frozen. But let's do one thing. Let's take a 5 minutes break and then we'll come back and we'll start with chapter 1. I hope the internet, so I may log out and log in back and see if that helps with the internet. But let's take a 5 minutes break.
Yeah, I about to say I need break.
Yes, let's
Thank
take a
you.
5 minutes break. Okay. Thank you all so much. We'll see you in 5 minutes. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Hare Krishna, everyone. So please come back. Okay, so while people are coming back, can you just say one of the anarthas that we mentioned that the fourth canto will actually, if we really dive into Bhagavatam, will take away that anartha? What was the anarthas that we mentioned?
Pride and anger.
Pride, envy, anger. Okay. Yeah,
Disobedience,
disobedience, like order of a guru, disobedience to seniors. Yes.
harsh speech,
Harsh speech. Yes, very nice.
Following the Vedic way of life without bhakti.
Following the Vedic way of life without bhakti. Yes. What was the positive also? Okay, let's discuss what are the positive that we can develop from the Canto 4. The qualities.
determination,
Determination,
Tolerance.
tolerance, yes.
forgiveness,
Forgiveness, yes.
Detachment.
Detachment, very nice.
cooperation,
Cooperation, yes.
Being silent and walking away.
Being silent.
Yeah, and being silent when adversity was there, like Shiva's example.
Tolerance, right?
Tolerance.
Yes. That's very nice. Thank you. Okay. So let's start Canto 4. So, if you are actually approaching Canto 4 with this mood, then we are actually, saying, okay, this anartha is there in my heart also. How can I get rid? So Bhagavatam reading is not just like we are reading any book. What we are actually doing one way, open heart surgery, or open heart surgery, right? Because all those anarthas are there. So you want to open our heart, take out those anarthas and throw it away, and then bhakti can be established in the core of our heart. Right? Okay. So now, before we read the first sloka of the first chapter, we will go to the purport. Why? Because Prabhupada starts the fourth canto in the perfect way that we should start any canto, by offering obeisances. So in the purport, Prabhupada starts off by saying, first of all, I'm just reading the purport a little bit. First of all, let us offer our respectful obeisances unto our spiritual master, Om Vishnupad Sri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada, by whose order I am engaged in this Herculean task of writing the commentary on the Srimad Bhagavatam as the Bhakti Vedanta purports. Right? Imagine Prabhupada is saying this Herculean task. I mean, yesterday also, like, we were door to door and, we were explaining about Bhagavatam. And like the task of writing the commentary of 18,000 shlokas of Bhagavatam, that is not an easy thing. It's such a huge thing. Like, imagine, like, our Bhakti Vaibhav, you have to write one essay. That takes so much time. You have to think again and again, go back, refer, and say, like, okay, this is the point. Imagine writing 18,000 essays of like that. And that is a Bhakti Vedanta purport. Every verse, every purport is like that essay that is coming from Prabhupada's realization, right? And further it says, by his grace we have finished 3 cantos. By whose grace? Bhakti Sansari Thakur. By his mercy, only by his mercy we have finished 3 cantos, and we are trying to begin the 4th canto. So this should be our mood. That we have studied 3 cantos only by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and Gurudevs. And by their mercy, we are actually trying to begin Canto 4. By His divine grace, let us offer our respectful obeisances unto Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who began this Krishna conscious movement of Bhagavad Dharma 500 years ago. And through His grace, let us offer our obeisances to the 6 Goswamis. It's so interesting. Prabhupada is saying, offering obeisances to the 6 Goswamis through the grace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Through the grace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we are offering obeisances to the 6 Goswamis. And then let us offer our obeisances to Radha and Krishna, the spiritual couple who enjoy eternally in Vrindavan with their cowherd boys and damsels in Brajabhumi. Where is Prabhupada when he's writing this? Wherever he may be around the world, he's always in Vrindavan. Right? Like how Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said, I'm sitting on the banks of the Yamuna under Kalpavriksha, Prabhupada is always in Vrindavan. Right? And then he says, let us also offer our respectful obeisances to all the devotees and eternal servitors of the Supreme Lord. Right? So that is the way. So we also offer our obeisances to Srila Prabhupada, to our gurus, and to all the Vaishnavas, to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to the six Goswamis, and only by their mercy we can actually study Canto 4 and really derive the benefits of Canto 4, not just a theoretical understanding, but actual transformation in our spiritual life by studying Canto 4. Also, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he says, offering respects to Sri Guru, to Krishna, the ocean of mercy, and to Lokanath Goswami. Right? The eye of the universe, I take shelter of Sri Sukadev. So he is also offering to obeisances to Sukadev Goswami, right, the speaker of Bhagavatam. I offer myself and everything I have to Absolute Lord, who is dearer than life to all the cowherd men and women, and to the service of his dear devotees. Right? So this is our obeisances. So even from our heart, we want to offer our obeisances, because only without the mercy of Guru, we cannot study Bhagavatam. Without mercy of Prabhupada, we cannot study Bhagavatam. Cannot understand Bhagavatam. Right? So we are dependent completely on their mercy. Okay. So with that note, let's start text 1. So chapter 1 is actually a big chapter, but it is all about lineage. So we can go very fast through the verses. Okay. And only when there is a purport, any key points I will mention, but otherwise we'll be reading through many verses. Okay. So let's start text 1.
Maitreya uvacha manostu shatarupayam tishrakanyascha jagire akutir devahutischa prasutir iti vishrutaha.
Hare Krishna, Sri Maitreya said, Swayambhu Manu begot 3 daughters in his wife Satarupa, and their names were Akuti, Devahuti, and Prasuti. Hare Krishna.
Right. So we know this. I already mentioned 3 daughters: Akuti, Prasuti, Devahuti. So we already studied the life of Devahuti. Now we'll read next Akuti. Right. Okay. Next text 2.
Akutim ruchaye pradad api Bhratrimatim nripaha putrika dharmamashritya shatarupānumoditaha.
Akuti had 2 brothers, but in spite of her brothers, King Swayambhu Manu handed her over to Prajapati Ruchi on the condition that the son born of her be returned to Manu as his son. This he did in consultation with his wife Satrupa. Hare Krishna.
So interesting. So now we already talked of Devahuti. Now we are talking of Akuti. So this chapter Akuti. Now Akuti. So Akuti was given to, who did she get married to? Ruchi, right? The sage Ruchi. And then here it says, Api Bhratar Matim. Although Akuti, Devahuti, Prasuti, they had 2 brothers. Who are the 2 brothers? Uttanapad, Priyavrata. So Swayambhuva Manu, he has 2 sons, but when he actually gave Akuti to Ruchi, he actually gave on the condition that the son who is born to you should become my son, not grandson. You should give that son to me. Why would Swayambhuva Manu do that? He already has 2 sons, right? See, if a king, he did not have a son, he had only daughters, then he can say, okay, daughter, after you get married, you give me the son because the son can rule. Why would Swayambhuva Manu place this condition? Because the son is none other than the avatar of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Swayambhuva Manu knew that my daughter, right, Akuti and Ruchi, are going to give birth to avatar of Krishna. So hence, I want to have that avatar, right? So actually, so that was the condition. And here it says, Shatarupa Anumodita. Did he do this on his own? No. He consulted his wife. He took permission from his wife. a wife, can we actually request, give our daughter on this condition that their son comes to us? And the wife said, okay, yes. And then, rather than that, he came. Okay. So Swayambhu Manu was ambitious to have Supreme Personality of Godhead appear as his son. So hence he asked this condition. Okay, text 3. So if you have any questions, you can stop. Otherwise, we'll be going a little faster.
Prajapati sa bhagavan ruchistasyam ajijanat mitunam brahmavarchasvi paramena samadhina. Vijay Radhika Mataji.
Mataji, can someone else read?
Ruchi, who was very powerful in his Brahminical qualifications and was appointed one of the progenitors of the living entities, begot one son and one daughter by his wife Akuti. Hare Krishna.
So basically now we are reading lineage, right? So Akuti and Ruchi. How many children they had? Here it says the Ruchi, who is the progenitor, is Prajapati. Prajapati means one who is actually created to create progeny. Very powerful in his Brahminical qualifications. So Brahma Vachar Varchasvi. Right? So basically here Prabhupada explains this point that Ruchi was very fixed on his Brahminical duties and very rigid as a Brahmana. Right? And then Prabhupada says, what are the qualities of Brahmana? Who knows the verse from Bhagavad Gita? Those who are second initiated, you should know this verse. Qualities of a Brahmana. 18th chapter. Samadabastapaschosham shantir arjavam evacha jnanam vijnanam astikyam brahma karma swabhavajam. The qualities of a Brahmana are what? Sama, Dama, Tapa, Saucham, Shantir, Arjavam, Jnanam, Vijnanam. Right? So these qualities. Right? So basically here what they say, Sama means peacefulness, Dhamma means self-control, Tapa austerity, Saucham purity, Shanti tolerance, Arjavam honesty, right? And then Jnanam Vijnanam knowledge and realized knowledge. So this is the qualities of a Brahmana. So Prabhupada talks about these qualities and he says if someone is born of a Brahmana but he does not have these qualities, then he is a Brahma Bandhu. Right? He cannot be considered as a Brahmana, but he is considered as a Brahma Bandhu, a friend of a Brahmana. And then Prabhupada goes such a level and he actually says that these Brahma Bandhus, they are on the level of Shudras. And then he quotes 1:4:25. First canto, 4th chapter, text 25, where it says, Stri Shudra Dvija Bandhuna. Stri Shudra Dvija Bandhunam. So this comes in a section where Vyasadeva, he compiled what? The Mahabharata for those who are actually Dvija Bandhu, Brahma Bandhu, those who are actually Shudras. So Prabhupada says these Brahma Bandhus, they are actually at the level of Shudra. They are Brahmana in name, only in name, but they have no qualities of a Brahmana. Okay, next verse, text 4.
Yastayo Purusha Shakshat Vishnuryagyya Sarupadrik Yastri Sa Dakshina Bhuter Amsha Bhutana Payini.
And Krishna, of the two children born of Akuti, the male child was directly an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and his name was Yajna, which is another name of Lord Vishnu. The female child was a partial incarnation of Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, the eternal consort of Lord Vishnu.
Right. So basically, who are the two children? And here it says, was Sakshat Vishnu, directly Vishnu. And what form of Vishnu? Yagya. Yagya. Right? Swarupadrik, the form of Yagya. And then the Ya, the other, Stri, the female, who was she? Dakshina. Dakshina is who? Bhuteha Amsha Bhuta. She is actually a plenary expansion of the goddess of fortune. And so, if you consider Vishnu, Yagya, and Dakshina, they are born to Akuti and Ruchi. Are they brother and sister? No. because their eternal relationship is that of consort. Lakshmi is always the consort, and hence this verse actually says Anna Paini. They are never to be separated. That means they have this eternal relationship that is that of Lakshmi is always the consort of Vishnu. So even though they are born as from the same parent, their eternal relationship cannot be changed. Okay, next slide.
Aninye swagriham putrya putram vitatarochisham swayam bhuvo muda yukto ruchir jagraha dakshinam.
Swayambhuva Manu very gladly brought home the beautiful boy named Yagna, and Ruchi, his son-in-law, kept with him the daughter Dakshina.
So as he had asked, I will give you my daughter, but the condition is the son you have to give back. So basically here it says Swayambhuva Manu, he actually bought Swagriha, my own house. To his own house he bought what? Putraya Putra, the son of the born of the daughter. He actually brought that son back, who was Yagya. And then Muda, Swayambhuva Manu was very pleased. Why was he so pleased? Certainly, one, now he has the supreme personality of Godhead as his son. And the second reason he was pleased is that his daughter actually gave birth to two children. So if he takes away one child, they still have one child. So that way it is not like I'm taking away children and they're childless. Right? So he was pleased that they had two boy and a girl. Right? And then Ruchi Jagru Dakshina. So Ruchi kept the daughter Dakshina. And Prabhupada in the purport, he actually makes the point. He says that Yagya, one of the name of Lord Vishnu is Yagya. Yagya means he is the master of the Vedas. The Yagya comes from the word Yajusham Patihi, the Lord of all sacrifices. Now, which personality, the body of which personality is actually sacrifice personified? Varahade, right? So here Prabhupada is actually saying that the Lord is actually the Lord of all sacrifices. Yajusha Patihi is actually Yagya. Right? And Prabhupada further says, Yagyartho karmanyo anyatra loko yam karma bandhana. Unless we live our life based on sacrifices, then any activity we do, that will be a cause of what? Bondage. Right? Bondage. Right? So and then Prabhupada further he elaborates and says it does not matter if you're doing any active without connection of Krishna, if the result is good or bad, it is actually bad. It is actually bad because it's not in connection to Krishna, right? Therefore, he says if our activities are not dovetailed with the desire of Krishna, then there's always a reaction to every kind of action, and then that will lead to material bondage. So therefore, from the very beginning, one should try to act in Krishna consciousness, live our life as Yagya. And this was the theme of Canto number 3. We live our life as Yagya. And hence Prabhupada here in his purport is one way summarizing that Canto 3 theme that our life is Yagya. Okay, text 6.
Prabhuji, why Lord Varahadev especially is the Lord of sacrifices?
We read in that third canto, right? When the form appeared, immediately Brahma and all the demigods. So there's a Sanskrit word, I'm forgetting right now, but we can look it up in third canto, where he says his form is the form of sacrifice. And why was the form of sacrifice? Because Hiranyaksha was the personification of that enjoying tendency. And one way Krishna is showing the point that that enjoying tendency has to be dovetailed through sacrifice to me. Otherwise, you'll be destroyed. Like how Hiranyaksha was destroyed. Okay, text 6.
Tam kamayanam bhagavan uvaha yajusam patihi tushtayam tosham apano janayad dvadashatmajam.
Hare Krishna, translation. The Lord of the ritualistic performance of Yajna later married Dakshina, who was anxious to have the personality of Godhead as her husband. And in this wife, the Lord was also very much pleased to beget the 12 children. Hare Krishna.
Right. So now we are reading further. So Yagya, and Yagya came to who? Yagya came to who? Swayambhu Manu. Right? Everyone is following?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Dakshina was under whose care?
Ruchi and
Akuti and Ruchi.
Akuti and Ruchi, right? Now, here it is described, Dakshina was anxious and she was desiring whom? Tam Kamyanam Bhagavan. Because she is Lakshmi ji, so naturally she is desiring who? Bhagavan, Supreme Personality of Godhead. So she had the desire to get married to the Personality of Godhead. Yajusham Patihi, the master of all sacrifice, Tushtayam, right? So in his wife who was very much pleased, and Lord also Tushtam. So basically what happened? Yagya and Dakshina got married. So Dakshina was very pleased to have Vishnu as her husband, and Vishnu was very pleased to have Dakshina as his consort because their relationship is eternal. And then further it says, Apana ajane dwadasha atmaja. Dwadasha is what? After Ekadashi, everyone eagerly waits for what? Dwadashi. Dwadasha. So 12. So they had 12 children. Right? Prabhupada in his purport, he gives like Grahast ashram lessons. He says, ideal husband and wife, they are called what? Generally, they are Lakshmi Narayan. And he says, what is the secret of ideal household life? Prabhupada says, both should always remain satisfied with each other. If both are satisfied with each other, with their mutual dealings with each other, then Lakshmi ji will automatically reside in that house. And then further Prabhupada says that means satisfied with each other in mutual dealings means there should be no disagreement between husband and wife. Right? So there's actually, I don't have the reference, but there is actually a quote which says that when in a household the husband and wife don't have disagreement, then Lakshmi is residing in that house. And further, Prabhupada says the wife should be trained to be satisfied in all conditions, and the husband should actually provide the wife with sufficient food, ornaments, clothing. Okay, so text 7.
Tosha pratosha santosho bhadra shantir idaspatihi idma kavir vibhu svana sudevo rochano dvisat. Divinity Lila Mataji.
The 12 boys born of Yagna and Dakshina were named Tosha, Pratosha, Santosha, Bhadra, Shanti, Idaspati, Idama, Kavi, Vibhu, Swahana, Sudeva, and Roshana.
So, names of the 12 sons. Okay, next verse.
Tushita namate deva asan swayam bhuvantare marichi mishra rishayo yagya suraganeshvaraha.
During the time of Swayambhu Manu, these sons all became the demigods, collectively named the Tusitas. Marichi became the head of the 7 rishis, and Yagna became the king of the demigods, Indra. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Okay, let's continue next verse, and then I'll come back and explain both the verses.
Text 9. Priyavrat Todana Pado Manuputro Mahojaso Tatputra Potranaptrinam Anuvritam Tad Antaram.
Swayambhu Manu's two sons, Priyavrata and Uttanpad, became very popular kings, and their sons and grandsons spread all over the 3 worlds during that period.
So basically here, so the 12 sons, 12 children, together they are known as Tushitas. Tushitas Nama, text 8 said, Tushita Nama. And all of them, they actually became demigods. Right? Demigods of the name Tushitas. And then Swayambhuva Manu, so the person who was reigning at the time, the Manu was Swayambhuva Manu. Marichi Mishra. Marichi became the head of the 7 rishis. And Yagya Suragana Ishvara. Suragana means what? Sura means demigod, right? Gana Ishvara. Who became the head, the king of the demigods? Yagya himself. Right? So Yagya one way became that Indra for that time. Right? So here, let me just share my screen. This is from Subodhini, and you can see this. Right? So you see. So in every Manvantara, there are 6 kinds. Everyone can see my screen? Right?
Yes.
Six kinds of beings presiding during every Manvantara. First one is who is Manu. The Manu at that time was the first Manu in the day of Brahma is Swayambhu Manu. Then Manu Putras. Who are Manu Putras? Uttana Devrata. Who are the demigods, Devas? Tushitas. Who is the king of the Devatas? Indra. Lord Yagya himself became the king, became Indra. The Rishis, Marichi and others. Who is the Amsha avatar? Then, or Manvantara avatar is Lord Yagya. Right? So these 6 kinds of beings preside every Manvantara, and further this is actually explained in more detail. But right now, for this Manvantara, this is the 6 kinds of beings. Okay. Now next verse, text 10.
So the other Manvantaras, this changes, right?
Yeah.
Like
So Vaivashvata Manu will become the head of Vaivashvata Manvantara, right? And then
his
Indra
sons.
will be someone else. Like we know in next, so now we have our Indra. But next
Yeah.
Manvantara, who is Indra?
Bali Maharaj.
Bali Maharaj.
But
Maharaj will become Indra next Manvantara. So after every Manvantara, the whole government changes one way. Right? So all these personalities get new positions. New people take these positions.
so
So
this
this,
Tushitas
yeah.
there, Prabhu?
What?
The Tushitas are also, I mean, are they only for Swambhu Manus?
Yeah, yeah. Like the demigods in different Manvantara will be someone else. So if you see the 8th canto, see the flow of the Bhagavatam is what? From where we started, 3rd canto, in middle when we read of Swayambhu Manu and Shatarupa. And then we are talking of their lineage until, and then we continue, and we are all discussing about mostly first Manvantara. Then in 8th canto, it jumps. It says second Manvantara is this, third is this, fourth is this, fifth is this, sixth is this. And quickly it goes through all that, and then it elaborates further on sixth and then further to our current, which Manvantara we are writing? 7th Manvantara. Right? So it starts with first, and the whole, like so many cantos is only about the first Manvantara, Swayambhu Manu. And then little bit about the few Manvantaras, and then comes to our current Manvantara. Okay. Okay, continue.
Text 10. Devahutim adattata kardamayaatmajam manuhu tatsambandhi shruta prayam bhavata dato mama.
Hare Krishna. My dear son, Swayambhu Manu handed over his very dear daughter Devahuti to Kartamuni. I have already spoken to you about them, and you have heard about them almost in full. Abhijit, Devahuti also has a supreme personality of Godhead, right? Kartamuni, but
No,
Swayambhu.
no, Kapiladev.
Kapiladev, yes. But he didn't ask Kapiladev, he asked this Yajna Purush, right?
Asked Yagya Purush. Oh, Swayambhu Manu. Yeah,
Swayambhu,
yeah.
yeah.
That's good. Yes, he did not ask a Devahuti, but he asked Akuti.
Is there any reason, Prabhuji?
Not that I know of. Maybe he realized that, oh, the Lord is appearing as son of first daughter. I didn't ask that time. So let me ask for the next daughter. I'm not sure. I'm just speculating here.
Prabhu, I have heard that in the case of Devahuti, Kapiladev, no, the case of Akuti, Yagna Purush, there was Indra was missing the post, and
And that's
so
why that's a good point. That's a good point.
yeah.
Because Indra was missing, hence he actually asked. Oh, that's a very nice point. So he asked the son so that the son could actually take the position of Indra. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
That makes
Thank you.
sense. Thank you. Thank you, Mataji. Okay, next verse. Oh, yeah. So in this verse, it says what? I have explained to you Devoti and Kardamuni almost in full. Why almost in full? I mean, how many chapters we read? Almost 10, 11 chapters we read about Devoti and Kardamuni. Why almost in full? Because he talked of mainly the son, he did not talk about the daughters. So now we'll read about the daughters of. We read that how they had 9 daughters, right? Kardama explained into 9 forms, 9 daughters. So now a little bit our 9 daughters we'll read. Okay, 11.
Text 11. Dakshaya Brahmaputraya Prasutim Bhagavan Manuhu Prayachat Yatkrita Sargas Trilokyam Vitato Mahan.
Hare Krishna. Swayambhu Manu handed over his daughter Prasuti to son of Brahma named Daksha, who was also one of the progenitors of the living entities. The descendants of Daksha are spread throughout the 3 worlds.
So this story, so we read about Akuti, now we are saying Prasuti. Akuti got married to who? Ruchi. Prasuti got married to who? Daksha. And that is the story, we'll come to it, which will be our first story, first big story of 4th canto. Okay, text 12.
Yakardama Sutta Prokta Nava Brahmarshi Patnayaha Tasam Prasuti Prasavam Rochyamanam Nibodhame.
You have already been informed about the 9 daughters of Kardama Muni, who were handed over to the 9 different sages. I shall now describe the descendants of those 9 daughters. Please hear from me.
Okay, so now we'll read our 9 daughters. So as I said, this is lineage, so not so much to explain. We'll keep going on.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, in the previous verse it says 3 worlds, means it's like a lower planet of, it says 3 worlds.
Oh, yeah.
So 3 worlds means it's a...
Lower planetary system, middle planetary system, upper planetary system. So up to Swargaloka mainly. Right? Up to Swargaloka till the bottom, all that were actually filled by the descendants of these personalities. Because see, what is the role of Prajapati? When Brahma creates these Prajapatis, what is their role? Create population. Because the world is empty at that point. So here they have to like one way create population. So that is their role. So those children which are born, they spread all over to actually create further progeny. Okay. Next verse.
Text 13. Patni Marichestu Kala Sushuve Kardamatmaja Kashyapam Purnimanam Cha Yayor Apuritam Jagat.
Hare Krishna. Kardam Muni's daughter Kala, who was married to Marichi, gave birth to 2 children whose names were Kashyapa and Purnima. Their descendants are spread all over the world.
So to Prabhu's point, that why does it again and again said that descendants spread all over the world? Because this is the thing that happens at Brahma's starting of the day. He needs to create progeny, and through these personalities, the progeny is expanding everywhere. 14.
Purnima Sutam Virajam Vishvagam Cha Parantapa Devakulyam Hare Pada Shochadya Bhut Saridivaha.
My dear Vidura, of the 2 sons, Kashyapa and Purnima, Purnima begot 3 children, namely Viraja, Vishwaga, and Devakulya. Of the 3, Devakulya was the water which washed the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead and which later on transformed into the Ganges of the heavenly planet.
So let me again share my screen. So if you see this table here, so where are we here? So we read about, see, these are 9 daughters of Devoti and Kardama, right? So Kala, Anasuya, Shraddha, Havirbhuva, etc. So Kala got married to Marichi. They had 2 sons, Kashyapa, Purnima. Purnima got 2 sons, Viraja, Vishwaga, and Devakulya. And this Devakulya, she became the presiding deity of Ganga. So Ganga is the water that washed the lotus feet of the Lord. So Devakulya became the presiding deity of Ganges during that time. Okay. Further. 15.
Text 15. Atre Patnyanasuyatrin Jagye Suyashasa Sutan Datam Durvasasam Somam Atmesha Brahmasam Bhavan.
4:115. Anusuya, the wife of Atri Muni, gave birth to 3 very famous sons, Soma, Dattatreya, and Durvasa, who were partial representations of Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva, and Lord Brahma. Soma was a partial representation of Lord Brahma. Dattatreya was the partial representation of Lord Vishnu, and Durvasa was a partial representation of Lord Shiva. Hare Krishna.
So now the next, right? So we talked of Kala. Now the next daughter is Anasuya. Anasuya got married to Atri, the sage, and then they had three sons: Dattatreya, Durvasa, and Soma. Now these three personalities are partial; they are amsha of Vishnu. Dattatreya is a amsha of Vishnu. Durvasa Rishi is the amsha of Lord Shiva, and Soma, the moon god, is the amsha of Brahma, the expansion of Brahma. Right? So this is explained. Now Prabhupada in the purport, he elaborates on this point of amsha. What does it mean, amsha? Is Dattatreya an amsha of Vishnu? Yes or no? That's what we are reading, right? Yes.
Yes,
Are we an amsha of Vishnu?
Yes.
Yes. Right? So that's the point Prabhupada is making in the purport. That not like, yes, Dattatreya is an amsha of Vishnu, but we are also amsha of Vishnu, but there is a difference. That is Swa Amsa, and we are Vibhin Amsa. Swa Amsha means directly Amsha, right? So that Swamsha, Swa Amsha, that personality, those personalities, they can never come under the influence of Maya because it's Vishnu. Vishnu is the controller of Maya. So they are directly Sakshat Vishnu, right? Directly Vishnu. Now, our case, we are also Amsha, but because we are tiny, we are infinitesimal. A Swamsa is just like from one candle you light another candle. Right? They have the same power. So that way all Vishnu avatars are one way same. But we are different. We are Vibhinnamsa. So we are infinitesimal. Like Prabhupada says, a drop of water of ocean and the entire ocean. So we are that drop. And because we are so minute, we can come under the influence of Maya. Right? We can come under the influence of Maya. So that's what Prabhupada explained. And he says, how does Maya actually affect us? And he says, based on the covering of our consciousness, to that extent, Maya is actually covering us. Right? So he makes the point that we all living entities here, we are subject to being covered by Maya's illusion, and we suffer pangs of the material existence. We are proportionately freed from the coverings of ignorance according to the influence of the three modes of material nature. So to the extent we are free from the covering of Maya, to that extent we are free from the influence of Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Right? Now of these three also, which is the one which is most covering? Tamas. Right? Tamas has maximum covering. Rajas less. Sattva minimum of all the three. So one who lives in Sattva, then the covering of consciousness is less compared to Rajas. One who is living in Rajas, the covering of consciousness is less compared to Tamas. Right? And based on the covering, the more intense is the covering, more higher is the suffering. So a person in Tamas will have more suffering than a person in Sattva. Right? And that's why this concept of three modes are so much elaborated in Bhagavad Gita. So, see, when we talk of in Bhagavad Gita, we talk of the principle of yukta. Right? Yukta means developing a balance. We say yukta hara viharasya yukta chetasakoma. You have a balance in eating. Don't eat too much. Don't eat too little. Don't sleep too much. Don't sleep too little. Don't work too much. Don't work too little. And then the fourth is recreation. Right? You need balanced recreation. All these 4 points, what does Krishna say in that? If you live your life balancing these four, then you'll be free of dukkha. And in this, actually, where is spiritual connection there? I mean, he's not saying that you live connected with Krishna and then you'll overcome suffering. He's saying that is the next step. But just balancing these four, actually one gets free from suffering. That means what? As soon as one changes one's lifestyle and lives in the mode of goodness, his suffering actually reduces. Right? So that's the point, Prabhupada. So the more we are connected with the lower modes, the more is our suffering. Right? And so that's the point. So yes, we are Vivinamcha, but it depends on how much we are covered with the modes of with the illusion, the Maya illusion, and that depends on our covering of the modes. But then Prabhupada said, pure Krishna consciousness means what? We are free from that covering, right? And then he makes a point. So if you consider Krishna has all his qualities as 100%, then Vishnu, what is the percentage of qualities that Vishnu has? 94%. What does that mean? There are four qualities in Krishna that even Vishnu does not exhibit. What are the four qualities? Who knows?
Nam, Rupa, Guna, Lila.
No, no, no.
That one?
No. What are the
Rupa.
four qualities?
Oh, that.
Venu
Yeah.
Madhuram.
Okay. So one, you say, I heard Rupa Madhurya.
Rupa
Form
Madhurya.
is so beautiful that not even Vishnu, even Vishnu comes to actually take darshan of Krishna. Right? So beautiful.
Prema Madhuri?
Venu, yeah, flute.
Venu Madhuri.
Krishna is the one who plays the flute. Then
Leela.
Leela Madhurya. His pastimes are so Madhurya, so sweet. There's no comparison to Vishnu's pastime. And then fourth,
Prema Madhuri.
Prema Madhurya. That love that the devotees of Krishna have for Krishna, that cannot be compared to the love that the other devotees of Vishnu have to Vishnu. Right? So these four qualities are unique in Krishna. So if you consider Krishna has 64 main qualities as 100%, then Vishnu is 94%. He does not have these four qualities. Then Shiva is 84%. He has only, 84%. So 56 of those qualities. And then Brahma is 78%. 50 of those qualities. So if you consider 64, 50 of the qualities is Brahma. How many qualities we have? Zero.
One.
One quality, bro.
Yeah, maybe association of the
You all are very humble. You have to learn humility from all of you. So it says that Jiva, Vibhin Amsha, can have up to 50 qualities. That means up to 78% of those qualities. So as we progress in bhakti, those qualities, yasyasi bhagavati bhagvat akinchana, sarver gunes tatra samasate sura. As we are engaging in bhakti, we get the qualities of the demigods and we can come up to 78% or 50 qualities of Vishnu. Right? So that why is all this discussion? To make the point that yes, we are also Amsha and Dattatreya is also Amsha, but there is a big difference. We are Vibhinamsha, he is Swamsha. And in this Vibhinamsha, there can be different categories based on our illusion and based on the qualities that we exhibit, etc. Okay. Everyone okay? Now, 16. I'll just do a few more verses and we'll stop. Let's see. Okay, 16.
Vidura uvacha atre grihe sura shrestha stityutpatyanta hetavaha kinchit kirshavo jata etad akyahi me guro.
Text 16. After hearing this, Vidura inquired from Maitreya, My dear master, how is it that the three deities, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, who are the creator, maintainer, and destroyer of the whole creation, became the offspring of the wife of Atri Muni?
See, if we are really hearing Bhagavatam, immediately when we hear the previous verse, we'll be like, how is it that Dattatreya, Soma, and Durvasa, they appear? And each of them is an amsha of the three presiding deities, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. How come all three appear together as a son? What is the story? And Vidura wants to know. Right, so it says, Atre Grihe, in the house of Atri, Sura Sheshta, the chief demigods, who are Hetava, the cause of Sthiti, Utpatti, and Anta. Sthiti means maintenance, Utpatti means creation, and Anta destruction. So the chief demigods who are the cause of maintenance, creation, and destruction how is it that his sons were actually expansion of these three demigods? Okay, let's see what Maitreya says.
Text 17. Maitreya uvacha brahmana chodita shrishta atrir brahma vidambaraha soha patnya yaya vriksham kuladrim tapasistitaha.
Maitreya said, when Lord Brahma ordered Atri Muni to create generations after marrying Anasuya, Atri Muni and his wife went to perform severe austerities in the valley of a mountain known as Vriksha. Hare Krishna.
So who else, when he was asked to create progeny, he went and performed austerity?
Kardama Muni.
Right? So we see this, like the act of creating progeny is such a sacred act that anyone who says, okay, Brahma says, okay, you need to create progeny, he says, okay, it's a very important act, very sacred act. Let me first perform austerities. Right? So even here, Atri, and he says Brahmana Chodita. Chodita means inspired. He was inspired by Brahma to create, Shishtam to create, and therefore Atri, he actually Sapatnya with his wife, Yaya Vriksham Kule, and then he went to this great mountain named Vriksha to perform austerities. Okay. One last verse and then we'll stop. We'll read the story next time. Okay.
Text 18. Tasmin prasunastabhaka palasho shokakanane varbhisravadbhir udgushte nirvindyaya samantataha.
Who's next? Please read. Last verse.
Hare Krishna. In that mountain valley flows a river named Nirvindya. On the bank of the river are many asoka trees and other plants full of palasa flowers. And there is always the sweet sound of water flowing from a waterfall. The husband and wife reached that beautiful place. Hare Krishna.
It's so interesting when we read about Kardama also, where there was so much emphasis on the place that he was meditating. Here also we see the place that Atri, who's this? Anasuya and Atri, Anasuya and Atri, where they went, it is described that the bank of the river, beautiful Ashoka trees are there, sound of waterfall, and the husband and wife, they reach this beautiful place. And there they perform austerities for next verse is 100 years. So we will let them perform austerities for at least 1 week, and then next Sunday we can continue and see what is the result of their austerities. Okay, it's very interesting, the story about how Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, they actually appear as their children. Okay. Okay, so we'll stop here. Any final comments, realizations, any points?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I'd like to point that fourth canto will help me perform surgery on my heart and remove all the anarthas.
If we want to have the surgery, then yes, fourth canto will actually provide that. But if we are just reading Bhagavatam just like any other book, then we'll miss out on the opportunity to take out the anarthas in our heart. Thank you. Next one.
Prabhu, what is the significance of the location?
Like in Kardam Muni also, it was so much elaborated about the place, because see, if we connect this to what we are discussing in the theme of the third and the third canto is Vedic way of life. And in Vedic way of life, everything is important. The place we are, the time we are, time where did we read? DT story. Right? Place we are reading, importance of which place. Because the Vedic culture is everything has a significance. Where you are, what you're doing, the time you're doing, everything has a significance. And that's what the third canto is saying. Don't just whimsically enjoy, but all these rules are there. Follow these rules. So also like, okay, meditation, how it is important to create the right atmosphere, because that makes a big difference for you to meditate. right? So hence that emphasis is there, third canto, and here again it is actually said. They didn't just go to in between a city and say like, okay, now we'll meditate. Like they selected a place which is very suitable, very favorable for meditation. Right?
Prabhu, Mother Krishna Priya actually, she said that when we had the Sadhu Sangha at Boon, people were very much going to, to the surroundings and looking. Not many people were in the Kirtan hall because the surrounding was so calming and so goodness. But when it happened in Dallas, everybody were inside. So what she said, it was so profound that because we are like, we are, Kali Yuga creatures who are so much suffering with, the Dallas quote unquote outside world. So when we get subjected to sadhu sangha like environment, we want to enjoy that environment because we want to. For us, coming from that degradation to coming to pure sattva is little difficult. Coming to at least sattva is still possible. So many people were looking around in the breeze and the snow and the mountains and the rain. But when it happened, oh my God, outside is even more gross. So let me be focused. So for us, rather than going for quote unquote sattva is not needed. Straight bhakti. No need to go step by step from tamas to rajas, rajas to sattva and like that, take up to devotional service. So was
I
her
mean,
realization.
yeah, see, that's a very nice point that finally our essence is to come to bhakti, right? Now, are we actually moving from tamas to rajas to sattva? Actually, yes, we do want to do that also, because see, when we live in sattva, our bhakti becomes more sustainable. Though it is secondary, your point is valid that in the sense like if you take a bhakti, then naturally you're coming to sattva. That is our principle of Bhagavatam. Just do Krishna bhakti and then naturally your lifestyle will change, right? But again, because we have so many rajas and tamas qualities, so we can also that way make the process go faster by changing our lifestyle to sattva. Because if we are living in sattva, then our bhakti becomes very sustainable. Getting up early in the morning, that's a good quality. If you are doing that, then it's very favorable to bhakti. So as sattva becomes very favorable to bhakti, right? So both ways are there. One is direct bhakti, and then it will take us to sattva. Other is we can see, okay, how I can change my life to sattva, and then how that becomes favorable to bhakti. So both ways we can actually see, right? Nice point. Okay, thank you. So any friends? We'll end here. Thank you so much. And yeah, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। वंशकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिंधुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। Thank you all so much for your association. We'll end here. श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। Thank you all so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much,
Thank you so
bro.
much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.